We're good.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm very, very, very tired, but other than that, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Our tea is has been steeping actually while we were waiting to get started, so our tea's good to go. So I'm just gonna pour us some tea.
I surprised you with the tea, and when you poured the water, you knew what it was immediately.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it though. This is a tea that we bought a while back for several reasons. And then this is the first time we've actually had a chance to open it up and try it.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the tea or do you want me to talk about the tea?
I want it to cool. Why don't you talk about the tea?
This is called s'mores chai. Now, I am not a chai drinker. You like chai.
I do.
You like chai with milk, and we did not grab any milk.
This is also true.
Um, I generally don't drink black tea for multiple reasons. One, I often find black tea bitter, and two, it has a lot of caffeine in it, and I try and avoid too much caffeine in my drinks. Um, but we we have used s'mores as a branding thing in the past.
Yeah. When we used to stream games on Twitch, we used to say s'more games.
Yeah, and we had a little cartoony s'more.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to trying it, but like you, I'm gonna wait for it to cool down a bit because I'm not up for burning my tongue.
That's fair.
So happy Good Friday,
Happy
or
Friday.
welcome to Good Friday, or it's Good Friday, or something. Anyway, it's Good Friday today.
It is also early voting day.
It is early voting day. This is the start of the early voting long weekend, so we have until Monday for early voting for anyone who wants or needs to vote early. We will be in the needs to vote early group because we will be out of town during actual voting day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm going to read from our Good Friday devotional. Good Friday. It was all real. There was a man named Jesus. This much Tacitus will tell us. He was called the Christ according to Josephus. His feet swept the dust and sunk in the dirt. His hands, cracked and lined with age, held the dead and dying, and the loved and the lying. Where he went, the people followed, and where he went, the Spirit surged, and where he went, the Father smiled because it was all real. And because it was all real, our debt that is due came due, and it called. Its payment had to be real, and the payment had to be permanent, and the payment had to be rendered. That which was wholly unclean had to be made holy and clean. So the man named Jesus, the one who, out of his parted lips came the words, I am, confessed that it was all real. So the beatings were real, and the lashes were real, and the blood was real, and the thorns were real, and the mocking was real, and the shame was real, and the scorn was real, and his mother's pain was real, and his brother's pain was real, and the pain was real. And the cross, not old or rugged, but fresh and ruthless, not gilded but jagged, not clean but cutting, was real. The celebrated became lonely, and the skeptic believed. His death, long predicted and predestined, became real. There, at the fulcrum of time, was nothing, and it was all real. Our lyrics are, see from his head, his hands, his feet, sorrow and love flow mingled down. Did ever such love and sorrow meet, or thorns compose so rich a crown?
Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They clothed him in purple robes and went up to him again and again, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they slapped him in the face. Once more Pilate came out and said to the Jews gathered there, Look, I'm bringing him out to you to let you know that I find no basis for a charge against him. When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and purple robe, Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." As soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, "Crucify! Crucify!" But Pilate answered, "You take him and crucify him, for as for me, I find no basis for this charge against him." The Jewish leaders insisted, "We have a law, and according to that law, he must die, because he claimed to be the Son of God." When Pilate heard this, he was even more afraid, and he went back inside. "Where do you come from?" he asked Jesus. But Jesus gave him no answer. "Do you refuse to speak to me? Don't you," Pilate said, "don't you realize I have power either to free you or to crucify you?" Jesus answered, "You would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin." From then on, Pilate tried to set Jesus free, but the Jewish leaders kept shouting, "If you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be king opposes Caesar." When Pilate heard this, he brought Jesus out and sat down at the judge's seat at a place known as the Stone Pavement. This in Aramaic is Gabbatha. It was the day of preparation of the Passover. It was about noon. "Here is your king," Pilate said to the Jews, and they shouted, "Take him away! Take him away! Crucify him!" "Shall I crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," the chief priests answered. Finally, Pilate handed him over to them to be crucified. So soldiers took charge of Jesus. Carrying his own cross, he went up to the place of the skull. In Aramaic, it is Golgotha. And they crucified him, and with him 2 others, one on each side, and Jesus in the middle. Pilate had a notice prepared and fastened to the cross. It read, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." Many of the Jews read the sign, for the place where Jesus was crucified was near the city, and the sign was written in Aramaic, Latin, and Greek. The chief priests of the Jews protested to Pilate, "Do not write the King of the Jews," but this man claimed to be the King of the Jews. Pilate answered, "I have written what I have written." When When soldiers crucified Jesus, they took his clothes, divided them into 4 shares, one for each of them, with the undergarment remaining. This garment was seamless, woven in one piece from top to bottom. "Let's not tear it," they said to one another. "Let's decide by lot who will get it." This happened that scripture might be fulfilled, that said, "They divided my clothes among them and cast lots for my garment." So this is what the soldiers did. Now near the cross of Jesus stood his mother Mary. Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Cleopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing nearby, he said to her, "Woman, here is your son," and to his disciple, "Here is your mother." From that time on, this disciple took her into his home. Later, knowing everything that had now been finished, and so the scripture would be fulfilled, Jesus said, "I am thirsty." A jar of wine was there, so they soaked up the sponge, put the sponge on a stalk of hyssop plant, and lifted it to Jesus' lips. And when he received this drink, Jesus said, "It is finished." With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. The first pause that I had, the first really significantly long one, the other day I was reading a conversation. I don't even remember what context I was, but it started with essentially a skeptic asking the question, where in the Bible did does it say that Jesus ever communicated that he was the Son of God. And I think the Jewish leaders' statement of, according to the law, he must die because he claimed to be the Son of God is a pretty good example of that. Is even if we don't, if what he said came out as like in phrases that we wouldn't hear as being claims, but would have in an ancient ear, the fact that the religious leaders said that he did it probably was proof. That was my first thought. Matt's second one is the interesting detail given about this, how the sponge was given to him. The sponge, so right at the end there, a jar of wine was there, so they soaked a sponge in it, put the sponge on a stalk of hyssop plant, and lifted it to Jesus's lips. I've recently reread the Passover account in Exodus, and we've been thinking a lot about Exodus and the Passover, and just what that original event was in Egypt, and when the families were called to like mark the sides of the door with the blood of the lamb, they used hyssop branches.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Anyway, I just, the word hyssop really stood out to me today. Okay. Hebrews 4:16. The last one was from John 19:1-30. Hebrews 4:16. Let us approach God's throne of grace with confidence, so that we may receive the mercy and find grace to help us in our time of need. Good morning, Margaret. We're going to see you later today. We're very excited about that.
We, the one that gave me pause, was the actual, text of the devotional itself. Because just yesterday, we had a conversation with a friend of ours who has been doing a lot of their own deep dive into scripture and scriptural teaching and things. And one of the things that they started with right from the beginning was, my understanding it, and like based on everything I've read, we can agree that Jesus was real.
Yeah.
Like that was really neat to have this whole text about he was real, the events were real, everything that Christians believe by faith, we can know that was real.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, the friend we were talking to grew up in a non-religious Catholic family, and through the past few years of knowing this person, who we haven't seen probably since
3 years,
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would a optimistic skeptic or a searching skeptic, and it was a lovely conversation, but it did start on the premise of, we can all agree, can we all agree Jesus was a real person? Do we? Yeah, that was the start of the conversation. It was a very good conversation.
So yeah, so it's kind of interesting to have like the conversation yesterday and then have it reinforced in today's devotional. It's quite neat.
So we poured a tea. I chose a secret tea. As soon as you poured the water, you knew what it was. I'm slightly disappointed.
I'm sorry.
This is 2 for 2 because I never know what your tea's for me. I knew the Candy Crush as soon as I saw it.
Yeah.
But
I had a hint of it the same way you had the hint of the Candy Crush. There was marshmallows literally sitting right on top when I went to pour the water.
That's fair.
So I was like, this is either hot chocolate or s'mores chai. And as soon as I started to pour it, I'm like, that's the s'mores.
I think I like it. It's not as chai as I expected.
It's not as bitter as I expected from black tea. There's still a black tea bitterness hint at the end, but I
Oh yeah,
definitely had more
it
bitter
definitely
tea.
still tastes like tea. I wouldn't. It's chai, I'm sure. It doesn't taste like chai to me.
It doesn't have that chai spice.
Yeah, that I associate with a chai. It is tasty. I find it a bit too sweet. It would be a dessert tea for me, not a morning tea in the future.
So we did a fun thing last night until ridiculous o'clock. We were both a little bit tired because we were up quite late finishing up. Well, not quite finishing up. There's still a little bit more to do, but mostly finishing up. We have a very lovely
Do you
painted
want to see
door.
it? Do you want to see
It's
our painting?
right there.
It is. Okay, you're not gonna be able to see all of it because it is big.
Here, I'll move the chair back.
Oh, I need you to push it in forward.
The chair?
Yeah, so that I can. Oh, nope. That.
Yeah, but then the chair is going to be blocking part of it. Anyway.
Okay, so it is. I mean, like it is as wide as me, and it is up, and it is big, and there. This is our painting.
It's 3 foot by 4 foot.
It's a door. And it is going to be part of our Good Friday service today. I'm very excited. I might do some touch-ups. I think the black shading needs some lightening. And not that there's a lot of time before Good Friday service, but yeah,
No,
I'm gonna.
we have to have it finished and dry and in the car by, well, in about 2 hours, honestly.
Yeah.
So whatever you do needs to be dry within a couple of hours.
Oh, we'll be definitely driving in a couple of hours. There it is.
So yeah. So so we have a it's not a crazy busy day, but yes, we will be attending our Good Friday morning service.
I just realized there's black shading on this, but because this got painted black for the wall,
You
the
can't
black
see
shading disappeared.
she is talking with her hands off camera over there.
Thank you. I'm very proud of our little painting. I mean, it's not little. It took the entire table to paint.
And it was I think it was a good joint effort because you were finishing up your paper, which you got in 20 minutes early last night. And so I said, well, I know you're stressed about the painting and the paper, so I can't write your paper for you. Why don't I at least
Why not,
base
Alex?
coat? Why don't I at least base coat and put the structure in? Because I can do that reasonably well. I can, for the most part, paint in a straight line. And you said that would be really helpful. So I got that all finished up by about 9:30 or so last night. We let it dry. And you finished up your paper, and then while I edited the paper, you started putting in all the little details to get it all finished up. And I think it turned out really well. I think it was a really good joint effort for both of us. Your paper turned out really well as well, and that got handed in. So you're done with courses until September.
Yay!
So that's exciting. You have a semi-free summer minus all of the other commitments we normally have over summer.
Well, that's true. So the painting's done. We're going to be heading to Good Friday service over at. So if you're from Kingston area and specifically Pilsen Park Free Methodist, our communion service today, or our Good Friday service is today at 11 a.m. at Russell Free Methodist Church.
Which will include communion.
There will be a communion in the Good Friday service. And then if you have a ticket, tonight is our big Passover banquet hosted by our Kingston Messianic Fellowship.
And I know for a fact that they have started preparations for that food as of about 5 o'clock yesterday because
they were there when you were there for
when I got to the church at about 5:15 for worship practice, they had already put 2 loads of food or 3 loads of food into the fellowship hall, and were asking me to run them through how to get the stove going so that they could get cooking going this morning. So yeah, it'll be a lot of food. It'll be exciting, and for all those who are joining, we look forward to seeing you.
Yes, it's gonna be a good day because it's Good Friday. Even if at times it's a somber day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, sorry. There was a bird flying at the window, and
Right there.
I could see it coming in for an approach, and this week, two different birds have like smashed into the window, and I was bracing for it to get hurt, but it turned right as it got to the window, and
We have a very, very big tree right outside this window. It's a very, very large tree, and I think there's two or three different families of birds that are trying to claim it as their nesting space and are constantly fighting off other birds that are also trying to claim it as their nesting space. So we have some very competitive birds right outside our window, and yeah, every once in a while, one of them smashes into the window trying to escape from another one.
did I tell you I I learned through YouTube there is a channel of like a Reddit subgroup where what they do is people take pictures of bad bird nests.
Oh, yes, you showed me those. The lazy bird nests.
Well, bad bird nests. And it would be like a pigeon who like put two twigs down on somebody's welcome mat. Or anyway, now that's what I'm thinking about. Have a blessed Good Friday. We will see you again tomorrow at 7 a.m.
And for those of you we see at our service today or our supper tonight, we will see you then.
And looking forward to seeing you.